For 51 years, a message sat unsolved. 340 symbols sent by a killer who was never caught. The FBI tried. The best codebreakers in the world tried, and they all failed. Then, in 2020, 3 strangers who had never met in person finally cracked it. What it said was chilling, and it still did not reveal his name. The late 1960s, Northern California. A killer begins attacking people in quiet places. Couples parked on a lonely road, a student at a lakeside. At least 5 people are murdered. He would later claim far more. But what set this killer apart was not how he hunted. It was what he did next. He did not hide. He wanted an audience. He wrote to the newspapers, to the San Francisco Chronicle, the Examiner, the Vallejo Times-Herald. He signed each letter with a symbol, a circle crossed by a line, like the crosshairs of a gun sight. He gave himself a name, the Zodiac, and he made a demand. Print my words on the front page, or I will kill again. To prove it was really him, he included details only the killer could know. But the Zodiac wanted to play a game. In his first major letter, he enclosed a cipher, 408 symbols split across 3 newspapers. Solve it, he taunted, and you will find my identity. Police cryptographers went to work and got nowhere. Then a high school teacher named Donald Harden and his wife Betty sat down at their kitchen table. In less than a week, they broke it. The message was not a confession, it was a boast. He wrote that he killed because it was the most thrilling experience of all, that his victims would become his slaves in an afterlife. It was disturbing, arrogant, and revealing. But it contained one deliberate lie. He had promised his name. It was not there. The Zodiac had tricked an entire state into decoding his bragging. He kept writing. He mocked the police for failing to catch him. He threatened to shoot out the tires of a school bus and pick off the children. He mailed a piece of a victim's blood-stained shirt to prove he was real. The Bay Area lived in genuine terror, and the newspapers, terrified he would kill again, printed almost everything he sent. Then, in November 1969, he sent his masterpiece, a second cipher, 340 symbols this time, mailed to the Chronicle. It became known simply as the 340, and unlike the first, this one would not break. The FBI tried. Codebreakers tried for decades. Every method that had worked before failed. The 340 became one of the most famous unsolved codes in the world, and then the letters slowed and stopped. The killings, as far as anyone could confirm, ended. Detectives chased suspects for years. One man became the prime suspect and was investigated for decades, but the evidence never quite closed the gap, and he died in 1992 without ever being charged. DNA testing came back inconclusive. The trail went cold. The Zodiac faded into legend, an unidentified ghost and an unbreakable code. But the 340 refused to die. Online, a community of amateur codebreakers picked at it for years, sharing theories, writing software, chasing dead ends. Among them was David Oranchak, an American software developer who had spent more than a decade building programs to attack the cipher and getting nowhere. In 2020, Oranchak joined forces with 2 men he had never met in person. Sam Blake, a mathematician in Australia, and Jarl van Eyck, a warehouse worker in Belgium who had built a powerful code-breaking program called AZ Decrypt. Together, they realized the Zodiac had scrambled his message in an unusual way. The text did not read straight across, but along a shifting diagonal pattern. When they applied it, fragments of real English finally appeared. On December 5, 2020, they sent their solution to the FBI, who confirmed it was real. After 51 years, the 340 finally spoke. It read, in part, I hope you are having lots of fun trying to catch me. I am not afraid of the gas chamber because it will send me to paradise all the sooner. It was a message from a killer who was almost certainly long dead, taunting investigators who would never hear his name, because even now, 2 of his ciphers have never been solved. A short one, just 13 characters, that he claimed spelled out his true identity, and another 32 characters long that supposedly pointed to a buried bomb, a bomb that was never found. Cryptographers have thrown everything at them for over 50 years. Both remain blank. The Zodiac was never caught, not because he was a criminal genius, but because he understood something darker. A mystery you cannot solve haunts you far longer than one you can. He turned himself into a puzzle, and then he vanished inside it. More than 50 years later, we are still trying to solve him. And somewhere in those last 2 codes, a name may still be waiting. If they are ever cracked, it breaks here first. Subscribe now.